Hey everyone! Welcome back to the Uno Amalgam series, the series which is ending its first phase very soon. Those of you who have been here since the beginning already know this, but this is the series where I combine every existing version of Uno into one giant mess of a game. I have almost accomplished this goal, and once I do, Phase 1 of this project will be complete. Phase 2 will be more game balance, development, and art focused, and since Phase 2 is upon us, there is no better time to watch or rewatch the entire Uno Amalgam series so far. In Phase 2, everything I talk about will refer to aspects of nearly every episode of this series so far. So if you aren't caught up, it will be very confusing for you. Anyways, I encourage you to watch the series if you haven't already, yada yada. Also subscribe because Phase 2 is going to be exciting, and I'm so close to 40,000 subscribers, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, bye! We are down to the final 50 Uno versions to add to Chemicards in this series. Or 73, depending on if you're counting lost and unreleased media. Before I start the countdown by adding more Uno versions, allow me to clarify. It's clarification time. Last episode, I received a lot of questions, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, almost all of them have already been answered in either the rules doc or in earlier episodes of the series. I understand that not a lot of people have the mental fortitude to read a 58-page document, but I like to think that my videos are interesting enough, I don't know. If you have questions about the mechanics I've added in previous episodes, a lot of them are answered by the following episode in the series. This is why I'm saying having the context of the series is going to be important, because it'll only get more all over the place in Phase 2. One thing that I felt was important to clarify is the special wild colors and how they interact with Chemicards as a whole. So far, there are two special wild colors, as I call them, gold and rainbow. These two card colors are not represented on dozens of cards like the main 10 colors are, and that makes them unique. Functionally, the colors themselves are the same as the wild color, otherwise known as black, excluding rainbow's unique effect and gold's unique color match clause. These aren't colors that you'd be able to select from any effect that instructs you to choose a color, or alternatively, if you do choose rainbow or gold from an effect, it would just be the same as you selecting wild. So yes, these colors are real and they have unique interactions, but within the context of cards that interact with colors, these special wilds are the same as normal wilds. I hope that makes sense. I'll definitely be making this more clear in the final game. On a similar note, some of you observant people in the comments pointed out that Uno Canvas the Beatles, in Uno version I eliminated last episode, has a wild card that appears to be white in color. And that's completely true. There are actually a lot of Uno versions that are tied to a brand or franchise that have unique or different wild colors. So why haven't I added those? Admittedly, I'm kinda being picky-choosy, but there's a method to my madness. When it comes to Uno versions that are tied to a brand or franchise, almost always it feels like the color of the wild, or any card in those decks for that matter, is less of a mechanical or intentional choice and more so an aesthetic reskin. Like in the Beatles version, the white likely looked better compositionally from the artist's perspective, so they made them white. It's as simple as that. Meanwhile, with Uno versions that aren't tied to a franchise, like Uno Play with Pride for example, the choice to make the wild card rainbow feels a lot more intentional and special. Like they could have just made it so only the card backs and the wild symbol represent the Pride theme, but no, they went out of their way to make the actual color of the card rainbow. Not even the wild draw 4 cards of that version are rainbow, just the normal wilds. Also, rainbow is fun, haha. A similar thing can be said with Uno 50 Years of Being Wild. This is a very standard Uno version, all things considered, with the main difference being the choice to make the wild cards gold. Also, gold is fun, haha. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, sorry. A few of you have asked if I've thought of combining cards or multiple mechanics into a single card to help bring the cost of the game down. Short answer, yes. If you want the long answer, you're going to have to stick around for Phase 2 because this is going to be a big topic to cover. Also, I got some comments that were concerned with the ratio between wild and non-wild cards, and don't worry, this is something that I will focus on in Phase 2 as well. One more thing I want to tidy up before moving on is cameo games. From this point on, I'll likely never address cameo games again unless one is added to the Amalgam, and I'll quietly add the other eliminated ones to the rules doc. To answer your burning question, I'm not going to be adding 5 Alive. It still definitely qualifies, but it's just one of those weird things where I don't want to cause confusion considering Hasbro, not Mattel, has published the most recent version of 5 Alive. It's first on the list for cameos worthy of inclusion in an expansion though, so if Chemicards is successful, boom, 5 Alive. Anyway, here's some other cameo games that don't qualify. Millborn, Hot Wheels Acceleracers the collectible card game, I wish. Card and Go Seek, G.I. Joe card game, Frantic, Scrabble Dash, and finally, Swim. Once again, just because a game has the "from the creators of Uno" thing does not mean it qualifies for the Amalgam. Clarification time over, now it's elimination time. There aren't many eliminations this time around, but that's to be expected considering how many Uno versions there are left to cover. Here's today's list. Uno Penn State Nittany Lions, Uno Prestige, Uno Kikkoman, Japan, Uno NFL Greatest Stars, LaDainian Tomlinson, Uno Boston Red Sox, Daisuke Matsuzaka, Uno KFC, Uno Coca-Cola, Japan, Uno Coca-Cola Merry Christmas, Uno Butterfly y a Princesa Fairy, and Uno Fandom Disney Villains. That's 10 gone. Now on to the main event. Let's get to the additions this episode. I'm gonna try and go fast because there is a lot to cover right now. Edition 281, Uno Polly Pocket 2006. This one has the wild Rockin' Blockin' card. When you play this card, you get to choose which of 2 effects trigger. Either everyone draws 1 card, or this card nullifies a draw symbol or stack played against you. Wild Card Slap. Edition 282, Uno Sesame Street 35th Anniversary. This one comes with the wild Grouch card. When you play this card, discard 3 cards in any order on top of this card without triggering effects. I can't believe an effect as simple as this hasn't been added yet. Wild Card Slap. Edition 283, Uno Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl XL. This one comes with the wild MVP card. When this card is played against you, you must draw cards until you get a 6 or 8 number card, or until you draw 5 cards from this effect, whichever comes first. Wild Card Slap. Edition 284, Uno Texas Edition. This one has the wild Last Stand card. When you play this card, swap hands with a player of your choice. This card can be played out of turn, but only if another player calls Uno. Now that's good. Nice one, Texas. Wild Card Slap. Edition 285, Uno Barbie California Girl. This one has the wild Beachcomber card? Is that supposed to be Beach Bomber, or is that actually Beachcomber? I don't know. When you play this card, take 1 card of each color you currently have in your hand and then give those cards to another player of your choice. In other words, up to 10 cards. Oof. Wild Card Slap. Edition 286, Uno My Scene. This one has the wild Casting Call card. When you play this card, draw cards until you get 2 cards that can match using any of their attributes. Then give all cards drawn from this effect to either one player, or distribute them evenly amongst all players. If cards can't be divided evenly, you choose who gets the extra cards. I could see this card being quite deadly if you get unlucky, or lucky in this case. Wild Card Slap. Edition 287, Uno Barbie 2013. This one has the wild Fashion Trend card, not to be confused with the Fashion Swap card from last episode. When you play this card, choose a color. In the current turn order, all players must then reveal a card from their hand that matches the color you chose. The first player who cannot do this must draw 2, and all other players must place their revealed cards back in their hand. Wild Card Slap. Edition 288, Uno Super Kick 2012. This one has the wild Super Joker card. When you play this card, trigger any one effect in the entire game. There you have it, my Amalgamates. This is what I believe to be the most powerful single card mechanic in the game. It's whatever you want it to be. It's whatever you need it to be. It is the Super Joker. Wild Card Slap. Edition 289, Uno Ryan's World Pocket Watch. This one has the Wild Ryan's Review card. When you play this card, privately view all other players' hands, then choose one card from one player's hand and swap it for a card in your hand. Wild Card Slap. Edition 290, Uno Boston Red Sox 2004. This one has the Wild Monster card. When you play this card, choose another player to draw until they get a green card. If they get one, they must play that on top of this without triggering effects. If a player is eliminated or loses a life from this mechanic, they must choose another player to continue the monster effect until it resolves. If a player already has a green card in their hand when this is played against them, they can play it right away without triggering effects to avoid drawing any cards from this effect. I really like this one. It kinda is a monster, in both name and gameplay. Wild Card Slap. Edition 291, Uno San Antonio Spurs 2006. This one has the Wild Dunk card. When you play this card, if you don't have any 2 number cards in your hand, it functions as a normal wild card. If you do, though, discard all 2 number cards in any order without triggering effects in a stack, and then place the Dunk card on top of that stack. Wild Card Slap. Edition 292, Uno Cleveland Cavaliers LeBron James. This one has the Wild Hail the King card. When you play this card, choose another player to draw 3. So, yeah, just a targeted draw 3. But this card also functions as a 23 number card, so that makes it very unique. Wild Card Slap. Edition 293, Uno Welly Wishers? Wheelie Wishers? Welly Wishers? This one comes with the Kindness card. When you play this card, choose a color. All players in the current turn order must then play a card of that color on top of the Kindness card without triggering effects. You will be the last player to play a card from this effect. If any players don't have a card of the chosen color, they don't get to discard a card. Wild Card Slap. Edition 294, Uno Shopkins. This one has the Wild Strawberry card. When you play this card, all players that have pink cards in their hand draw 2. Wild Card Slap. Edition 295, Uno Hot Wheels 2014. This one has the Wild Rush Hour card. When you play this card, say Rush Hour, and all other players must race to put their hand on this discard pile. First player to do so draws 1, second draws 2, and so on. You don't participate in this effect. Yet another card that gets more powerful the more players you have. Wild Card Slap. Edition 296, Uno Doraemon 2016. This is a rare instance of me not knowing what the name of the unique wild card is, but I do know what it does. Pretend I said the name. When you play this card, choose a player. They must show you their hand. This can be played alongside another card in your hand. If the card on top of the discard pile and the additional card you play with this card match, once all effects are resolved, draw a card and place it on top of the same stack without triggering effects. What a bizarre effect, but I prefer something unique over something repetitive any day. Wild Card Slap. Edition 297, Uno Sock Monkey. This one has the Wild Hat card. When you play this card, all other players must reveal a red card from their hand or draw 3 cards. Wild Card Slap. Edition 298, King Size Uno with Free Turn. This is a really interesting one. I've already eliminated King Size Uno because I thought every release of it was the same and was essentially just Uno with slightly larger cards. But apparently one of these random releases has a unique wild mechanic, but I don't even know what year it's from, so that's why this version is called that. Anyway, as you may have guessed, this one has the Wild Free Turn card. When you play this card, take another turn. Simple as that. The main thing that makes this card special is it doesn't use the word skip, so players aren't getting skipped, you just get another turn straight up. Wild Card Slap. Edition 299, Uno Moomin 2024. This one has the Wild Tales from Moomin Valley card. When you play this card, all players, including you, in the current turn order, discard 1 card. If a player has only 1 card in their hand when this effect triggers, the player must draw 1 card and then discard 1 card. Wild Card Slap. Up next, we have the Big Edition 300, Uno Lilo and Stitch 2024. This one has the Wild Ohana card. When you play this card, all players discard cards in any order without triggering effects, or draw cards until they only have 4 cards in their hand. Wild Card Slap. Now normally this is where I would call the video done, but I want to make even more progress this episode so the final episode has more time to tie up loose ends. So let's keep going. I'm finally going to talk about the rest of those new Uno fandom versions that I haven't covered yet. Edition 301, Uno Fandom Masters of the Universe. This one has the wild The Armory of Grayskull card. When you play this card, privately look at each other player's hand. For each player, you may take 1 action card from their hand, and in exchange, give them 1 card from your own hand. Players cannot refuse the trade. If a player doesn't have any action cards, then you may not trade cards with that player. Wild Card Slap. Edition 302, Uno Fandom Star Trek. This one has the wild Mirror Mirror card. When you play this card, choose a player. That player must draw cards until they have the same amount of cards as the player with the most cards. Wild Card Slap. Up next, we have what are the 4 final Harry Potter themed Uno versions. Edition 303, Uno Fandom Harry Potter Gryffindor. This one has the wild Sword of Godric Gryffindor card. If you play this card onto a discard pile, it acts as a draw 3. However, on your turn, you may give this card to a player of your choice instead. That player must then give you a card in return, and they may choose what card they want to give you. That player can't decline the trade, however they don't show you their hand and they choose what card to give you. That player will be able to use the Sword of Godric Gryffindor card however they want on their own turn. Doing this trade does not count as your 1-turn action. Wild Card Slap. Edition 304, Uno Fandom Harry Potter Slytherin. This one has the wild Parseltongue card. When you play this card, all players must hiss like a snake. The last player to do this must draw until they get a green card. Yay, a fun minigame. You all know how much I love those ones. Wild Card Slap. Edition 305, Uno Fandom Harry Potter Ravenclaw. This one has the wild Salvio-Hexia card. This card functions like a normal wild card, but if a player plays a draw 2 or draw 4 card against you, even as the top card of a draw stack, you can play this card to reflect that effect onto the other player. Then, after that effect has resolved, that same player must draw 1 additional card. Wild Card Slap. Edition 306, Uno Fandom Harry Potter Hufflepuff. This one has the wild Protego Maxima card. When you play this card, instead of playing it in a discard pile, place it in front of another player that you wish to protect. Now, anytime a draw 2 or draw 4 card is played against this player, that draw effect is nullified. This immunity will last until any wild card is played by any player. When that happens, discard this card on top of that wild card. Wild Card Slap. Edition 307, Uno Fandom Avatar The Last Airbender. This one has the wild Avatar State card. When you play this card, choose a color. Then play another card from your hand that matches the color you chose. Effects from this card do indeed trigger. If you have at least 4 unique colors of card in your hand, you can play this card out of turn. Wild Card Slap. And just like that, that's all of the Fandom Uno versions that we know the unique rules of, for now. Hey, did you know that there were actually a few Uno versions released involving Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Edition 308, Uno Diary of a Wimpy Kid 2010. This one has the wild Cheese Touch card. This card can only be played on yellow cards. When you play this card, the next player must draw 2 cards, and then that player must play a yellow card on top of the Cheese Touch card. If they can't, they must draw 2 more cards, and play resumes with the player after them. Only yellow cards can be played on top of this card. Wild Card Slap. Edition 309, Uno Diary of a Wimpy Kid 2012. This one has the wild Cheese Touch card. Yep, that's right. Same exact wild card name. Both of these Cheese Touch cards even have the same flavor text in their rule descriptions, but funnily enough, this Cheese Touch is very different from the previous one. When you play this card, all other players must publicly reveal any yellow cards they have in their hand. All players who have revealed yellow cards must draw 2 cards in the turn order. Wild Card Slap. Alright, one more for this episode. Let's end it with a bug. Edition 310, Uno Attack Mega Hit. This is yet another interpretation of Uno Attack, but don't be fooled, the machine itself doesn't do anything innovative. We have a modifier and a general rule to take from this one. The Hit 1 modifier will be placed on each color once on a set of 1 number cards. When this card is played against you, you must increase the number on the attack d10 by 1. Alright, now for the fun part. You've heard of rotating the attack d10, and you've heard of stacking draw cards. Now get ready for stacking cards that rotate the d10. This is the Mega Hit rule. If a card is played against you that would force you to rotate the attack d10, otherwise known as rotate type cards, you can play any rotate type card from your hand on top of it, regardless of if it matches in any way. This passes the rotate effect onto the next player, and the next player must rotate the attack d10 as if both rotate effects have been played against them. If that player also has a rotate type card in their hand, they can continue this chain until someone is forced to rotate the attack d10. If the attack d10 is triggered by this effect before all of the necessary rotations have been done, the player it is triggered against may choose to not perform any of the remaining rotations. Once a rotate stack has been resolved, play resumes from the player who placed the first rotate type card. If a rotate stack is created using this rule, all non-rotate effects are nullified until the rotate stack is resolved. This is a super fun rule, and I love the variety it brings to the attack mechanics. Gah! I am not used to talking this long. Before I get into the statistics, I just want to go over the remaining lost or unreleased media Uno versions I still have on my list. If you have any information on any of these Uno versions, eBay links do not help, please leave a comment, send a message in the Discord server, link in the channel description, or send me an email with pictures if possible, also in the channel description. As a reminder, if these Uno versions are not found soon, they will not make it into base Chemicards, but if Chemicards is successful, they may make it into a future expansion later down the line. First up, we have 4 unreleased Uno fandom decks, all based on Star Wars. Uno fandom Star Wars posters, Uno fandom Star Wars troopers, Uno fandom Star Wars droids, and Uno fandom Star Wars Dark Side. We have a general idea about what these 4 are all about, but we don't have enough details, and we likely won't until they actually release. Simply put, if these don't release really soon, they aren't making it in. Next is Uno The Batman 2006. To be clear, it is known what the cards of this version do, but there are about 5 card art mechanics in this version, so in order to get a proper idea of how this functions, we need info on all of the cards in the deck, not just the unique ones. Finally, we have a bunch of Uno versions that we have next to no information on. Uno St. Louis Cardinals Albert Pujols, Uno New York Knicks, Uno Chicago Bears Bear Down, Uno NFL Greatest Stars Reggie Bush, Uno Max Steel Red Box, Uno Captain D's, Uno Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, Uno Barbie Sapatillas Magicas, Uno Barbie the Pearl Princess, Uno Portal Secreto, Uno Domino's Burger King Spanish, and Uno Junior Germany. One more time, if you know of any unique mechanics any of these versions contain, or if you know they have nothing new about them, please let me know. They will be eliminated in the very near future otherwise. Alright, on to the progress statistics. In this episode I eliminated 10 Uno versions and added another 30. This brings the total Uno versions represented in the Amalgam to 821! I told you we would surpass 800, and of course we aren't even done. About 20 physical cards were added this episode, meaning there are now 1,088 physical cards. Now, I know last time, and at the start of this video, I said there were 73 Uno versions left to cover if you include the lost and unreleased media. So logically, there are only 33 Uno versions left to cover, right? Well, that's not entirely true. There's 36. Maybe more. I love when things are found between episodes, but I am so close. I have one more announcement to make, but first, it's thank you time. Thank you for your donations to the channel. Robert Recker, Harley Berry Cookie, Elias Stenbach, Mr. Turboman, Omicromium, That Blue Yoshi, Gluebird, TM Gaming, Zombie, Naso Yj, Fallen Angel Viox, Splashy Flame, and Skyroll of the Stars. Thank you, Amalgamation Donation Club, you're the best. Anyways, announcement time. The next episode of the Uno Amalgam series will be the final episode of Phase 1. I will add or eliminate every remaining Uno version on my list until there are none left. This is kind of a big deal considering this is what the entire series has been working towards until this point. You should probably subscribe if you don't want to miss it. That would be my unbiased suggestion. After that, Phase 2 will begin, and I'll be sure to talk more about that in more detail next episode. Alright everyone, like the video if you in fact liked the video. And tune in next time for the Phase 1 finale, where I finally combine every version of Uno into one game. Bye!